this specific skull is a Paracus elongated skull, but as you can see, it looks very similar to the one found in Russia. Now, after numerous studies and analysis, they've managed to recreate how the Archaim elongated skull really looked like in the distant past. Archaim is one of the most mysterious ancient archaeological sites in Russia. And again, this is the elongated skull found in Archaim, Russia. Very, very evident, as we can see. In 2015, Russian archaeologists excavated the area of Archaim, discovering this mysterious skeleton with the elongated skull. And after studies and analysis, they managed to recreate it. Archaim, one of the most mysterious ancient archaeological sites in Russia, and this 20,000 square meter compound was protected by circular walls just before it was burned down and abandoned mysteriously. Burned down and abandoned. Was it around the Younger Dryas comet impact, I wonder, about 12,000 years ago, the same time that Atlantis sunk? Kindly support my Patreon account since YouTube has again demonetized my YouTube channel. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below. Anyway, archaeologists believe that just like Stonehenge in the UK, Archaim was an ancient site dedicated to the observance of stars and constellations. Archaim was a very sophisticated settlement. In some cases, it displayed unique technologies that went far beyond the capabilities of other similar settlements, since Archaim had a very complex water drainage system and sedimentation pits as well. Researchers speculate that the ancient tribes in the area of Archaim practice head binding just as many other ancient cultures around the globe. And the question is why? Now, researcher Maria Makurova has confirmed to the Russian news agency TASS. She said, "We have found a well-preserved skeleton. Her skull was elongated because the tribe did so by tying up the heads of their children with rope. It was clearly a tradition in the tribe." Now scientists have managed to recreate the image of this woman in a very precise model in 3 dimensions, which even reproduces the color of the skin and eyes. And its most interesting feature is, of course, the elongated skull. And precisely because of the odd shape of the head, researchers have nicknamed her as the Sarmatian alien. And according to Yuri Makurov, the elongated shape of the skull is not unusual among the Sarmatians. In fact, he said 80% of cases during the excavation of the Sarmatian graves in the area of Archaim in the Ural Mountains, researchers have discovered evidence of similar bone structure, that is, head binding. Scientists explain that this was achieved through head binding and deformation that is created during early childhood by pressing the skull between 2 boards tied with ropes. This practice could be due to the beauty standards of the Sarmatians, or the desire to create a distinctive sign in order to distinguish individuals from their group of foreigners. Artificial head deformation practices have also been discovered in numerous other ancient cultures around the globe. Among the most noteworthy are Peru, Egypt, and parts of Asia. This proves that elongated skulls are in fact a global phenomenon and not an isolated event as was previously believed. And why did ancient cultures around the globe practice a procedure by which they artificially created elongated human skulls? Did they come up with this idea on their own? Or was it an external influence present thousands of years ago, which led people from Asia, the Americas, Europe, and other parts of the world to practice such a bizarre procedure? Is it possible that thousands of years ago, a now lost advanced human race inhabited our planet possessing elongated skulls? Is it possible that ancient people practiced skull deformation because they saw a race of advanced beings that originally had elongated skulls and mysterious bodies? These are just some of the questions that have created an ongoing debate in the archaeological community. This is by Ancient Codes on Humans Are Free. We have the map of it. This is the location of the Archaim site right there. This is the Black Sea, as we can see. This is Scandinavia, Siberia. And it's an archaeological site of ancient fortified settlements in the southern Urals. It was discovered in recently, as a matter of fact, in 1987 by archaeologists. And as we know, this area is basically still undiscovered, Siberia, because of the fact that, of course, it's so freezing cold there in the winters. And in the summers, you're going to get bitten by horseflies and mosquitoes, really bad situations. And if a lot of these areas are filled with mud, there's hardly any streets or roads to get to these places. This is the aerial view of the main citadel. And that's where this area, basically, as we said, discovered in 1987, 1988 by students and their professors, paleontologists, archaeologists, right? Now the measures, it's about 20,000 square meters or 220,000 square feet. And this is what they look like, the view, the aerial view of the site. The site excavation, partial building structure, you can see very well kept. It was already always, it seems to have been filled in, but look at this. Isn't that amazing? And also they had the ritual spirals of stones made by Rodnovers in the area around Archaim. Doesn't this remind us also of what we saw in the Nazca lines with the stone structures? Okay, that's the area of it, as we can see right here. This is where this elongated skull has been found. Now, according to Archaim Wikipedia information, scholars believe that they were built to reproduce a model of the universe described in ancient Iranian spiritual literature, the Vedas and the Avesta. They consist of 3 concentric rings of walls of 3 radial streets reflecting the city of King Yima, described in Rig Veda. And the foundation walls dwelling in the second ring are built according to what some researchers described as swastika-like patterns. The citadel of Archaim dates back to before 12,000 BC. It's actually 17th and 16th century BC. More than 20 other structures built according to similar patterns have been found in areas spanning the southern Urals region to the North Kazakhstan, forming the so-called land of towns. So going back to the 16th, 17th century BC, the 17th and 16th century BC, so if we add 2,000 years to that, it's about 3,700 years old. So this is after, this was built supposedly after the Younger Dryas comet, which is about 12,000 years ago. So it's not a destruction from the Younger Dryas comet. But who knows? Okay, so this is about 3,700, 4,000-year-old structures. They're still pretty old, as we can understand. And the discovery reinvigorated the debate about the original homeland of the Indo-Europeans, confirming its location in Central Eurasia. And after this discovery was presented as the land of the Aryans, the center of the statehood of the monarchical type, the model for a new spiritual civilization harmonized with the universe, agencies related to the Russian Orthodox Church have been critical of such activities of Archaim's archaeology. Okay, so that's the location of it. Very old, very recent discovery because of the fact that, most of this area is really even unpopulated. As we said, if the government has, and if the Russians, whoever is involved with these field trips, have the money to support themselves, because the government's not going to pay. The professors and the students have to pay for their own room and board. So how are they supposed to explore all this? Amazing. So thank you for your support. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support again.